You're probably seeing this on the 1st of August. So you're seeing this in the month of August. And I've been gone since like the month of March. I'm back, right? And it's good to be back. So welcome back to Faithfully Booked. Welcome back to Faithfully Booked. It's good to finally be seeing that again. Welcome back to this space. If you are new here, hello. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for returning. Thank you for returning. Make sure you click the subscribe button. It's good to have you here. So this is a YouTube channel where we review books, we talk about books, we get book recommendations and occasional vlogs here and there. Everything books, and obviously we're reviewing books from a Christian worldview. I think you should stick around. Stick around. You find a bunch of books that you should read, bunch of books that you should add to your TBR. Right, stick around. So here we are huge proponents of guard your heart. Guard your heart because it is from the heart that the issues of life flow. Right. Your heart is very, very important, which also means that the things you are feeding your heart is very important, right? So that's why we're really intentional about the kind of books that we read because we know that books are also a gateway into our mind and a gateway into our hearts, right? We're intentional about the things we feed our minds with. We're intentional about the things we allow to enter into our hearts, right? Understanding that our ears, our eyes, everything, they are gateways into our hearts. So yeah, intentionality is a big thing over here. We are intentional about the kind of books that we read, which is, where Faithfully Booked comes in to just help you, right? To shorten the distance between you and your next book. I've been gone for about 4 5 months, right? Busy with school, busy with work, busy with extracurricular activities apart from this, busy with all those things. And hope you've been doing well. How are you doing? Just drop a comment, anything, right? You can also go ahead to drop a crab emoji so that I know that you're watching this. So, in the span of the 4 5 months that I've been away, obviously, I read a few books, like actually a few books. And when I look at my goal for the year 2026, right, the video is there. I'm supposed to read 60 books this year. I am so far from that goal. I think I'm currently on my 18th book, right? I have a long way to go. I have a long way to go. So I actually need to speed it up this last 5 months of the year. So how is your own reading goal going? Do you have a reading goal for 2026? If you do, how has that been going? I mean, mine has been slow, not been intentional, right, about my reading, coupled with other things. And also, just talking about why I've been away from Faithfully Booked, ran into some issues with space, issues with my tripod, issues with venue, like my environment, all those things, right? So all those things, coupled with all the other things I had to deal with school, they just contributed to not um me not posting here on Faithfully Book, but I'm back. And I probably said that for like the end time, but yes, I'm back. All right. So please stick around. So now that I've talked about why I've been away, I also want to talk about some of the books that I read while I was away. Right, so I read a total of 10 books. Yes, I'm currently on my 11th read, and I think I should just open with that. Right, the book I'm currently reading is Project Hail Mary. I'm reading that with the Faithfully Booked Book Club. If you're a member of the Faithfully Booked Book Club, you can just say hi. And if you'd like to join the Faithfully Booked Book Club as well, there'll be a link in the description box so that you can join. We're currently reading Project Hail Mary, and I have like 3 days to complete the book, right? Because obviously at the end of the month, we also review the book jointly. And that's the book I'm currently reading. Is following the story of a scientist, right? Slash science teacher, Dr. Ryland Grace, and he's basically tasked with the assignment of saving the world because there's something is happening to the sun. I think the energy from the sun is being sucked away by is it by Petrova line or by the astrophages, something like that, right? So a whole lot is going on. The Earth will probably, a lot is going on, right? So Dr. Ryland Grace, is tasked with doing that. So he travels to space to try and find out what exactly is going on and to also, come back with a solution, even though like with the whole Project Hail Mary, like because that's the name of the ship, that's the name of the project and everything. It is only designed for a one-way trip. But we find out all these things like during the course of the book. I'm currently, as of the time of recording this, I'm currently in chapter 17. There are 30 chapters in total, and I really need to finish it before the end of the month, right? I need to finish it before the end of the month. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about, out of the 10 books is Your Best Year Yet by Michael Hyatt. This book is a non-fiction book. I actually really enjoyed this book. It talks about how you can actually achieve the goals that you have, how you can maximize your year and everything like that. Right? It's quite similar to Atomic Habits by James Clear, but I think that I actually prefer this one just because it was really, really, really simple, really, really straightforward, and really, really easy to get into. I remember that there was a lot to take away from this book, but I don't really remember the what, right? So this is definitely a book that I will be revisiting, and this is a book that I 100% recommend, right? It talks about habits, talks about goals, talks about how to actually achieve them. I think it also dives into the SMART principle, just things like that, being realistic about your goals, being, giving it a time, all of that. But it was a really, really good read. So the next book that I'll be talking about is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson, right? So this book follows the story of Belle. Belle was a really, really young kid. She was an infant, really, a baby, right? When her mother disappeared. So her mom is Rachel Price. So her mother just disappeared. Nobody really knows what happened and all of that. So currently, a documentary is being made about the disappearance of Rachel Price, right? Okay, what happened? All of that, because nobody really knows what happened. So a documentary is being made only for Rachel Price to reappear. So we understand why the name of the book is The Reappearance of Rachel Price, because Rachel Price reappears, right? But Belle is like confused, curious, all of that. She wants to find out why exactly Rachel Price first off disappeared and why exactly she reappeared, right? So the book just follows all of that. We get to know why she disappeared, we get to know why she reappeared. So yeah, this book was really nice, like a solid like 4 stars or 3.5 there, somewhere between 3.5 and 4 stars. I actually enjoyed it. It did take me a lot of time to get into it, but when I got into it, I enjoyed this book. So thank you so much to the person that recommended this book. Thank you, Lotte, because Lotte was the one that recommended this book, The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I recommend this book, though it did have, quite a number of cussing and all of that, which I did not really, really, really like, right? But apart from that, like this book was a solid and nice book to read. So the next book that I'll be talking about is Bound by Wishes by Jessica Sproul. Bound by Wishes follows the story of Kalina. Kalina is an archaeologist, right? Go to like ancient sites, try to excavate or find out what is in the site. And she's a woman, right? And in this particular field is dominated by men and fight for respect, wants to do more, but there are limitations in a way. During one of these assignments, right, it goes wrong, and then quite a number of people are killed. And Kalina is part of this. Kalina is also part of this assignment, and she, gets trapped in the cave and everything like that. So when she gets trapped in the cave, she finds a lamp, right? A lamp, and it turns out that there's a genie in this lamp, and it's not just any genie, but it's actually the former king called Ranen, right? So Ranen has been trapped in the genie lamp, right? He has been trapped in the lamp and transformed into a genie, right? Because his brother cursed him and basically took his throne, right? So Ranen enlists the help of Kalina to basically get his throne back, get revenge on his brother, all of that, and they have to, basically team up so that evil will not be unleashed on the world. So this book was a nice book, but I do think that it dragged a bit, but it was actually a nice read. It was interesting and everything. It is like clean romantasy. I think that's the word, clean. Like it was clean. So I appreciate that about the book. It was really clean. It was nice. I didn't love it, but it was a nice read. So I could recommend this as well. This is like a 3.5 star read. So the next book that I'll be talking about is Adanna by Adesua something I've forgotten, right? But you probably see it on the cover, right? So Adanna, this book was a lot, right? When I think about this book, that's just how I would describe this book. This book was actually a lot. A lot happened in this book. If you think that you've seen it all, like you still see something that just makes you go, "Oh my god, what did I just read?" So Adana was a lot. So it follows the story of Adana. Adana was a really young girl, when she got married to an old man, right? Because her father died, and she has to like her father died, and there was basically nothing that they could do because younger sister her younger sister was sick, right? So she married this old man so that she'll get help for her younger sister. But like that, things just went downhill for her from there because this man is a terrible man. And if you think the man is terrible, wait until you meet his son, right? His first son. His first son was such a terrible guy. And she's just in this space, this toxic environment, this terrible environment where they're just passing her, back and forth. She's going through a whole lot. There's rape. I don't know if the word is rape, but there's rape, a lot of abuse, just so much. This book was a lot, right? And it's basically following the because the chief, like the man she got married to is called Chief, right? And the book opens up with the death of Chief, and we're trying to find out, okay, who actually killed Chief and all of that. And we just see all these things and all these things. So this book was a lot, right? I gave this a 3 stars, right? But this book was a lot. So if you are going into this book, just know from the onset that this book is actually a lot. So the next book that I'll be talking about is The Summer We Ran by Audrey Ingram, right? So this book follows the story of Tess and Grant. Tess and Grant are two people. Tess is female, Grant is male, right? And they are both running for the same post, the office of the governor of Virginia, right? But it turns out that Tess and Grant actually have history because when they were young, during one summer, as teenagers, they were together, they were in a relationship, all of that, all of that. So there are a bunch of secrets, a bunch of things that are supposed to stay in the past. A lot happened between them, which can jeopardize or jeopardize their political careers if it comes out into the open. So that's basically the story of The Summer We Ran. It was an interesting story. I think I gave this like a solid 3 stars or 3.5, somewhere between 3 and 3.5. So it was a nice read. And what I'm talking about is The Necessity of Prayer by Ian Bound. So The Necessity of Prayer, like the title might reveal, it is a book on prayer, right? And if you want to just explore the subject of prayer a bit deeper, explore it a bit more, this book is actually a good start. I think one might have issues with the language, but it's not so complex, even though it's not the easiest, it's not so complex, right? And we understand that prayer is a necessity, right? Prayer is a necessity. Prayer is talking to God, whereas conversing with the one who created you, it is a necessity, right? Fellowship with God is a necessity, right? And if that's something you want to explore deeper, you can actually start with the necessity of prayer. I'm sure there were a lot of things to take away from this book, right? So this is a book that I definitely recommend. The next book that I'll be talking about is Days at Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagisawa. I hope I got it right. Right. So it follows the story of Takoko. Takoko just went through a breakup, right? She found out something about the person she was dating, that was actually in a relationship with another person even before her. So in that case, she was the other woman, right? So she found out all of this. So they went through a breakup and things just went downhill for her from there. And so she eventually moves in to her uncle's place, right? Her uncle owns the Morisaki bookshop. She moves in with him. Prior to this move, she's 100% uninterested in books, 100% uninterested in reading. But at the bookshop, there are so many books around her, and eventually she does pick up a book, and from there she just unlocks the power of reading, the transformative power of reading. She discovers the beauty that is reading, and she just gets into books, right? So that's basically it. And she just goes through a lot of transformation. She meets a lot of people. There's that found family trope. So it was a nice read as well. So that's basically Days at Morisaki Bookshop, and how a time at the Morisaki bookshop, a time with books, it just really, really, really transformed her. And yeah, so this was also a really nice read. I think I gave this 3.5 stars. This was actually the book of the month for us in the Faithfully Book Club in the month of May. So it's actually a nice read. You can pick it up. It's like a light-hearted, light read, just easy to get through. Something that could probably pull you out of your reading slump. So this is also a book that I recommend. Right? Yeah. So the next book that I'll be talking about is Transform Your Habits by James Clear. Right? This is also another non-fiction book. It was really, really good, and I read this with a community that I'm in. Shout out to that community. If you're watching this, right? So Transform Your Habits by James Clear talks about habits, talks about keystone habits, talks about the importance of setting a schedule instead of a deadline, right? Focusing on the process instead of just focusing on the results, building identity-based habits, and so much more along those lines. He also talks about how important it is to quickly bounce back from failure, right? Because the difference between great people and other people is the ability to bounce back from failure, because failure happens to everybody, right? But what you do with that failure is actually what makes the difference between you and the next person, right? So this book was really, 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 really good. This book, there was just so much to learn from it. There was just so much to learn from it. Also, another thing to learn from it was that it's important to focus on identity based habits, not just on performance, right? So when you want to set a goal, okay, centering it on identity rather than just on performance. Next book that I talk about is actually one that I have here, Friends to Forever by Taiwo Iridele Odubi. So this book, like the title might suggest, it talks about two people, Rachel and Jimmy, who move from being friends to, people together, right? Friends to forever, right? So this was a nice read. It was nice. It was easy to get through and everything. It was just like a light read. I read it when I was returning home from school, like on the car ride and everything. So yeah, it's just friends to forever. I don't think there was so much to the book, right? Like these two guys, they've known each other for the longest time. They've been childhood friends and all of that, and they are not even interested in each other at all. When people bring it up, they're like, "Oh no, I can't be with her. She's my friend. I can't be with him. He's my friend." So there was nothing like that. But all of a sudden, feelings start springing up. They start looking at each other differently. All of that, and then eventually they get into a relationship. So this story just takes us from their friendship to their forever ship. Pardon my language. Right? But I think one thing that I didn't really like about this book, or one thing I noted about this book, I think it actually focused more on telling rather than showing. I think a lot of telling was going on in that book. In this book, I think a lot of telling was happening. So they'll tell us what was happening and everything instead of describing it, showing it, and all of that. So I think that was what I had against this book. I think it's like a somewhere between 2.5 and 3 stars. But yeah, it was a nice read, easy to read and everything. So the 10th and final book is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. Like I've had this book for quite a while, but I never got into it. But finally, I got into it. And this book is actually really, really, really good, really, really, really interesting. So it follows the story of 17-year-old Kiva Meridan. She's the prison healer, right? So she's a prison healer. She has been in prison since she was like 7. She prison is Zalindov, right? Because herself and her father were captured, right? And sent to prison, I think, for claims of treason, something like that, treason against the royal family or something like that. Right? So she's a prison healer. She's tasked with, helping people, helping the inmates that are sick, branding new inmates when they come into the prison and everything like that, right? So the rebel queen comes into Zalindov prison. She's captured. She's very sick. She comes into the prison, and then Kiva also receives the instruction to make sure that she stays alive, right? To keep the rebel queen alive, and that they are coming for her, right? Like her family is coming to rescue her and everything. So she takes it upon herself to make sure that the rebel queen is kept alive, and that also means that because the rebel queen is supposed to go through something called the ordeals, right? They're supposed to go through something called the ordeals. Did I say ordeals? Oh, pardon me, the trials. I don't know why I called it the ordeals slash the trials, right? And so Kiva, participates in the trials in the rebel queen's place, right? So she goes through the trials, which like there are a lot. There's one by fire, by water, by wind, all of that, right? Because this is actually a fantasy book, so there's elemental magic, all of that stuff, right? And at the same time that Kiva is taking the place of the rebel queen, she's still the prison healer, right? So there's a plague going on in the prison, and she actually has to find out what is the cause of this plague, what is responsible, what is the source, and everything like that, right? So Prison Healer is a really, really, really interesting book. I enjoyed reading it. So this is like a 4.5 star book, right? And I think, there are still more books in this series because there are still more books in the series. So I look forward to reading them eventually, even though I'm not really in a hurry, right? Even with this book, I had so many spoilers, but it was still a really, really, really interesting book. So those are the 10 books I've read so far since the last time I made a video. Have you read any of the books on this list? Would you be reading any of the books on this list? If you made it this far into this video, thank you so much for staying up until this point. You can drop a crab emoji so that I know that you're here. And if there's any kind of video you'd like to see in the coming days or in the coming weeks, please let me know in the comment section. I have a lot of time to create more videos and read more books. So please let me know in the comment section if there's any book you think that I should also check out as well. I'll be reading all the comments, right? And I'll see you in the next video. Please don't forget to drop a like, a subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And yeah, I'll see you next time. But remember that Jesus loves you.